Oh, I'm glad Big Dawg's coming to brew hop over at my house because I got some good beers to serve him. Pours are probably going to be about 6 ounces each, and I don't know, I'll keep pouring until he stops wanting them.
Hey John, how you doing?
Great, Big Dawg, good to see you.
Good to see you.
I was just finishing up on my cooling of my wort so I can get it into my carboy and pitch some yeast into it. My name is John Sather. I'm a home brewer. I've been brewing around 22 years and really enjoy it.
So what are you making today?
This is a English brown.
So John, I know you won a bunch of awards.
Yes.
What recipe is this we're doing? I know you've got several, up to like, what did you tell me, 20 different recipes?
Yes, and this one is just one that I wanted to do for the club competition, so
Okay.
I did this one. And I don't usually do a darker beer. I like more of a pale ale or,
Right.
or American pale ale or something Belgium.
Okay.
But this is the one that I'm doing for the club competition, so I'll send this into the other competitions if it's good enough.
So has this, well, that's why I want to ask you, is this recipe already won anything? Or?
No, this is a brand new one. Put a little brown sugar in this one. We'll
Okay.
see if that makes the difference.
All right, perfect. Well, I can't wait to try it.
You know, I prefer to brew pale ales, which is a kind of a basic beer, lighter, hoppy beer. And that's what I shoot for most of the time. But on occasion, I'll do a blonde or I'll do a fantasy beer with weirdo ingredients that you have to try to create something out of a list that you get.
So it does take you about 6 to 8 hours to make this, correct?
Yes, to pull this out, to do the soaking, the cracking, the boiling,
Right.
and now the cooling.
Yeah.
It's about 6 hours.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and cleaning up too.
Right. So what are you making, about 5 gallons there?
Yeah, if you look right there, it's
Oh.
right at the 5-gallon mark.
Okay. Okay. So I know it's a big pot. So.
Yeah, and it's all-in-one, which is nice. I switched over to electric all-in-one system, so I can brew up to 8 gallons per brew. But I prefer to brew around 5 to 6 gallons per brew. That's my recipes that I create.
What does it cost to make something like this?
Depends on the recipe. If it's a big Piney the Elder, it might be $45.
Okay, wow.
And if it's a smaller, little English brown, it could be $25.
Right,
So
okay.
it's in that range.
It's just based on your recipe and ingredients.
Yeah, and how many grains,
Okay.
10 pounds, 20 pounds of malt or something
Okay.
like that, right?
Looks like it's really starting to come together in there, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. I got to get it moving. It's starting to whirlpool better now.
So John, I know we're waiting for a couple of weeks for this to be ready. What do you have that's award-winning that I can try right now?
I have a cold mug over here, and I'll let you have one of my Belgian blondes. First, all my beers are, man, you gotta, stop dumping. You gotta get a valve on your pipe, on your pot and all that. And over the years, my beers were pretty rough. But now that I've got some better equipment and I've got a lot better technique, I've created some real good recipes and beers where I can actually feel confident to send them into a home brew contest, which we have 7 of them here in Florida.
So as we get ready for the competition coming up in Miami, John's going to enter his beers, and we have some Mead going in. The entries are due in a couple weeks. We'll travel those down to Miami to compete against other entries. And last year he was the heavy metal brewer down in Miami in Coconut Cup, winning Best of Show, first place, second place with his beer and Mead. I'm very proud of him. He's won a lot of medals again. He's very engaged in doing this hobby, which has almost become a job.
Nice cold cheers mug
Ooh,
for
nice.
you. All right. Give you some of this blonde ale here. Give you a sample. Might be enough.
Yeah, it's just a taste. So John, when did you make this?
This was about the second week of December I brewed
Okay.
this, and now it's the third week in January, and it's very drinkable.
Right. That is very good.
Yeah, it's got a nice little
So tell
Belgian
me,
mead
your
taste.
profiles. That's
It's got some banana and clove from the yeast, and then it's got a very bready, malty backbone that balances the bittering hop quite well, I think. Yeah.
So you're getting ready to submit this to a festival, correct?
Yes. Oh, well, a competition.
Competition, okay. And which one is that?
Coconut Cup down in Miami.
That's very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some myself.
Go ahead.
There we go. Cheers.
Very good, very good. Now tell us a little bit about this other refrigerator. What have you got going on in there?
This is what I call my fermentation chamber.
Okay.
And that's where I keep it a certain degrees. I can turn it down to 38 or 40, somewhere even colder if the fridge get that cold, up to 89 or something. And then this is where I ferment. This one's about 3 weeks in, but it looks like it's slowed down quite a bit. This one I called Volunteer.
So is your yeast still where I can see it bubbling in
This is the yeast at the top.
Right.
Ale yeast really kind of dominate the top of the wort or the beer now, since there's yeast eating it, it's beer.
Right.
And lager yeasts are more toward the bottom down in this area.
Okay.
So a lot of times you can see the activity going up and down sometimes, but this here is slowed quite a bit.
Yeah,
The
you can still see it definitely moving. That's for
yeah,
sure.
a little bit. The convection slowed down quite a bit though. So this is my fermentation, or if I get extra beers, I'll put them in here because I don't want them to get up into the 70s because
Right.
then the wild yeast can kick in and start contaminating flavors.
So how long does it take you in each one of these? How long do you keep them in that?
By 15 days maybe for the primary,
Okay.
and maybe another 7 to 5 on the secondary, because I'll rack off, or all the brewing terminology.
Right.
I'll transfer over to a different one and get all that yeast and all that out of there, and then it'll settle out and clear out. I'll cold crash it. I'll get it real cold.
Okay.
And that'll settle the proteins and the polyphenols and all the dead yeast cells and whatever all hit the bottom, so it clears out real well. Like this beer's right clear.
So what are your names here? I see something written on it. Loving every minute of it.
Yeah, this is this is my American Pale Ale.
Okay.
And I wrote "Loving Every Minute of It," kind of like the old song from
Right.
Dan Reno or Mike Reno.
Right.
And then this one is American Volunteer, because we were just volunteering to help my wife and I.
Okay, very good.
And these in here, I'll tell you, since you want to know the name. I mean, that's one of the fun things about homebrewing.
Right.
You can name your beers, and
Call them whatever you want.
And we're like mad scientists of
Yeah.
beer brewing. I mean, we
Yeah.
can do whatever we want. We aren't labeled to a production line at a professional
Right,
brewery,
right,
so we
right.
can do a lot of stuff that way. This one I named Changing of the Board, because we had some voting for the last homebrew club and boards changed. And this one is We All Talk to Cats. If you
Okay.
can get in there and see that one.
And what are you going to use the We All Talk to Cats for?
That's the beer you have now.
Oh.
That's the Belgian Blonde, really. And then
Okay.
some of my other favorites are in here too.
Yeah, see that. Got a good collection.
Yeah, I even got a little mead. We better try some of
yeah.
that too. Mead is a much easier process than beer. Mead, you just mix up the water with the honey, and then you can adjust the pH with a baking soda solution or something, and then add your yeast. Where beer, you have to heat up water, crack the grains, soak the grains, drain the grains, then bring all that up to a boil that, and then cool that down and transfer all that process into a fermenter, a carboy, or a conical or something like that. So beer is a much longer, difficult process to come up with good, clean, flavorful beer, where mead is or honey wine is a lot easier to make. It takes maybe 2 hours to do what I'm doing here in 6 or 7 hours. So it's a lot less time consuming. Doesn't take much, just a little sip. I'll try some with you.
Yeah.
This is a semi-sweet,
Okay. That's not too bad.
still. There's names for these, which are
Okay.
pelagient, which would be a little bubbly, kind of like a beer, or,
Right.
or sparkling like champagne, or still, and that's what this one is, a
Yeah.
still one.
What's
And,
the ABV on this?
This is pretty up there, 13%. So meads can be anywhere 10 to 18%.
Okay.
And they're very easy drinking. They can hurt you quick.
Yeah, that's a very flavorful. I've never had mead before. I really do like that.
Yeah, it's very good, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I can taste the honey.
Yeah, yeah.
Very,
It's,
very honey forward.
yeah. To me, I can identify the honey as being a clover honey.
Yeah. Okay. So tell you, I know you're a beer drinker and a mead drinker. What your wife? She likes the meads, right?
Yeah, she'll try the meads a lot more than the beers.
Okay.
She thinks beers all taste the same. and
Yeah,
I've
she
taught her
told me
they
that
don't.
earlier. So how many, do you make a lot of mead as well as the beer?
I make 5-gallon batches of mead just like I do beer.
Okay.
So I have a lot of mead.
Now, are there competitions for the mead? Or?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
There are separate competitions and the competitions that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Except meads too, and ciders. So it's a malted beverage competition where wine is more from the sweetness of the grape and no malting done.
So have you won any competitions from them?
A lot.
Oh, wow, okay.
I won a lot.
Really? Wow.
I'd say if those medals you saw back in there, probably 2/3 of them from meads.
Wow, that is very good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get really good on meads, and I am, I think. They call me the mead man.
So I know there's like 1.2 million people in the country right now making beer. Is meads on that same level, or is it a little bit?
It's a little less, I think.
Okay.
People are afraid to get into meads because they take longer, and after the fermentation process, you have to adjust them with a acid blend or a tartaric acid or a tannin or something like that. So and then you have to back sweeten them. You have to stop you don't really castrate the yeast. You stop them from reproducing, and the ones that are there are still there. And you dump some more honey into it, and that way it'll sweeten it up and take away the what I call the Listerine or the cough drop.
The cost difference between a mead and making beer.
Quite a bit of difference. A 5-gallon batch of mead is anywhere from $75 to $125.
Oh wow.
Where a 5-gallon batch of beer is anywhere from $25 to $45.
Okay, so it's just based on ingredients.
Ingredients and the price of honey for those years.
And how many recipes for the mead do you have?
Oh, I have to look in that book. Plenty.
Yeah.
50?
Oh, wow.
I'm guessing just off the top
That
of
you've
my
made
head.
yourself, that you've created, or
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
Oh
that
wow.
I've done, yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing.
So my favorite is a mead. He makes them with raspberries. I like fruit mead, any kind of blackberries, raspberries. We've had mango. Yeah, the fruitier the better for me. I just have a palate for that.
There you go. Thanks a lot, John, for having me in the garage. You are a true brewmeister. I've got a brew hop I got to go do, so I'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Brew Hops TV.